coming back out, or? Yeah. Call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Monday, August 12th, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Rocco Gonzalez.
Here.
Mark Kleesner.
Here.
Mark Piantek. Here. Tom Holtmeyer.
Here.
Mayor Hagedorn.
Here.
John Borgman.
Here.
Chuck Watson. Chad Briggs.
Here.
Carolyn Witt. Here. Mike Wood.
Here.
Sarah Skeen. Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 10th, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Moving on to item number 3, file number 240801, preliminary plat, 6200 Bluff Road, Backhole Boulevard, LLC. Sarah?
Good evening. So in your packet, you have the plat to subdivide this lot at 6200 Bluff Road. They have a potential buyer, so they are looking to sell that lot. Don't know yet for sure exactly what their plans are. They were made aware that there is no sewer there currently, so that is something that they're gonna have to put a plan in place to make that connection. I do have our sewer and water map there that you can look at. You can see kind of where our manholes are. Those are the green dots. So further to the south and to the east, that's our furthest manhole. So they're gonna have to come up with a plan to extend that. And then there is some stormwater detention also on that back lot that they're gonna be responsible for. It's currently privately owned, so they're gonna have to come up with a plan to maintain that as well. And the access is gonna be shared. So I'll go back. As you can see on the plat, they're gonna share that access easement there to the lot.
Any questions of Sarah by board members? No questions? Anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this? Oh, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Moving on to item number 4, file number 240802, rezoning 2227 Highway A from commercial C2 to
Okay.
R1A Single Family Residential.
Yes,
Sarah?
this property owner owns both the lots, Miller's Grill, and then the lot north, and, well, it was as of last week also to the west, but they had a boundary adjustment application that they got approved, so you can see the outline of what the lot will look like when we get this updated. And they are hoping to build a family home on that lot, so they're looking to rezone to R1A. And this is their plat, so you can kind of see what that's gonna look like if they are given permission to build on there. And then here's our utility map. You can see they have sewer in the back, they have water in the front, so they have access to that. Another shared easement as well. And then here is our comp plan, so you can see our general outline of what we expect to see in the future that is surrounded by industrial. It is C1, it's not showing that on the map, but it is commercial, those two lots currently. But everything to the west and to the south is pretty much countryside residential. So it would fit in with what's currently there and what the plan is for the future for that area.
Questions, comments of Sarah?
Yes, first of all, I have some concerns because it's not residential to the south.
Yeah.
It's residential to the west. But nothing to the south of that is all the Miller's Grill lot. And the other question I had is for the addressing, if it's going to have the shared access, how is it going to be addressed? I'm sure it's going to be addressed off of Highway A.
Highway A, correct?
Will the mailbox and the addressing location be given as Highway A, or is it going to be, the house going to be stuck down in the woods that you can't see it from Highway A?
No, it will be, it will be off of Highway A.
Okay,
Yeah, and I can't tell you where they plan on building, but I can only imagine that they would build, when you look at a topographic map, that this flat spot there is where they're going to be building.
can you put that up again, please, Sarah? The topo map,
Yeah,
because we didn't have that in our packet.
can you see that? Is it dark enough?
What are the grade lines there? Are they 2 feet, or is that 1 foot? We
It's
can't, I
hard to
can't see
tell.
that, yeah.
Yeah, pull up.
Because we didn't have that in our packet, that map,
The plat?
the grade map.
Yeah. Oh,
So as far as you know, the driveway's going to come in off of the access road to Miller's Grill.
I haven't, I would assume, since they're sharing that easement, that they're gonna come off of there, but I haven't seen any building plans.
Okay,
Hi, I'm Andy Understall Construction, representing Larry Miller. He's on vacation this week, so he asked me to come up here if you had any questions. Yes, and he's gonna build, like, right in the middle of that lot there. I don't know, it's where it says Lot 2, and then there's another, some more writing right in that, kind of in that area right there. He wants to build back in there, kind of in the middle of the lot, sort of in the middle of the trees, but he'll go in there and clear out all the cedar trees and the brush. There's a lot of underbrush and stuff down in that area, but you will be able to see it from the street. He wants to come off the end of his existing street that they installed and, tie into his property. That was his plan.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Andy?
Yeah, where did you say the entrance would be to the lot then, Andy?
It's gonna be off the end of that street there as you come down the street, he's gonna come off the end of it and go down to the right and just kind of dive down into the lot.
So that's a named street now?
That's the main street to Miller's Grill. Yeah.
Okay, it's not a driveway, it's a street, though?
It's privately owned street. It's
Okay.
not,
It's not named.
Yeah.
the city does not own that street.
Yep.
That's why.
They ended up moving that street that far, that time to the north because of the entrance. When they first laid it out, they put it in the middle, and it was like there was no way to
Get
enter.
in there,
It's
yeah.
actually probably pretty close where it sits, for the entrance part, but he just wants to get, he's been renting downtown. He would like to, build, and he goes, I already own this, I'd like to build on it. And I said, well,
Yep.
it's gonna take a process, so.
Any other questions?
Well, the other concerns that I have is, number one, I kind of look at that as spot zoning, because it's residential in the middle of a commercial, according to our master plan maps and all that. As a residence now, if that would get built, what's going to happen in 25 years when the owner wants to sell that, and you've got a house sitting out in the middle of all that commercial? And I don't know that the resale of that is a good place for something like that. So the fact that it borders on one side, the countryside, is one factor, but being by commercial on all the other three, I just don't think that's a good choice of zoning. That's all the comments I have.
Mark, can you comment on the spot zoning if it would?
Yeah, I mean, spot zoning in and of itself is not necessarily good or bad. You have to look at whether or not the rezoning is beneficial to the neighborhood in general, to the general public health and welfare of the city, and not just to the benefit of the individual property owner. If it's just to benefit the individual property owner, doesn't comply with your comp plan, those sorts of things, those would be reasons to reject it for that reason, not just because it's spot zoning. Spot zoning is neither good nor bad. It's just, it is what it is. But you have to look at how does it benefit the community? How does it comply with your comp plan?
So, and just to note that our low-density residential is coming down south and coming down into this area as we, see more development and annexation. It's just, it'll be kind of one and the same when that time comes.
Any other questions or comments of Andy?
Well, I think that if it's a family-owned business and the family wants to build a house there, I mean, it's definitely for their benefit. So, if they're worried about, resell in the future, they probably don't care. If they're gonna build industrial there someday, commercial, they could just tear it down. But, it's no benefit to, the homeowner to do that, but that's, they probably don't care in this case.
Any other questions or comments?
I mean, are there any other examples of this? I mean, we say spot zoning or whatever it would be, kind of sandwiched between commercial or industrial. Because it does seem like it doesn't really align for sure to our comp plan, but also just with what's currently there. Any idea that other things like this would exist in Washington?
Well, our Fifth Street corridor is, wrought with residential and commercial all but together. So we just call it C2 overlay, but it's there. So, I mean, it's not, I'm not suggesting that we should do that on Highway A, but it's not out of the norm.
Any other questions, comments? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Anyone else that would like to speak on this?
I don't know, Mark, you talked about this being, it is what it is. I am inclined to, if a person wants to build on their land and put a home on their land, how am I supposed to second guess that? If it's fuzzy, if it's clearly delineated against our comp plan or our codes and ordinances, that's one thing, but this isn't. John, I get your point, but to take a property owner's rights away to build a house on his property, I'm very reluctant to do that.
I know there was an effort in the past to rezone everything along Highway A as commercial and to get away from residential zoning on Highway A. And I don't have your comp plan, and I don't know if Sarah can pull it up that quickly, but I think even on your comp plan, it's shown as commercial and not residential.
Okay.
So it would not be consistent with your comp plan to rezone this to residential.
Wrong one.
How far does that go out?
She's working. Got it.
And I think Darren was around when
Highway A's always been looked at as a commercial corridor for the most part. Obviously, you have residential that's north of there, heading in towards 100. I guess the real trick that you have is you do have a lot of, because I questioned this too to see if there was some other way to preserve the commercial zoning, let them go ahead and build there. We even looked at C1 zoning district to see if that was, but there's some provisions in there that you have to have. It talks about it has to be kind of an existing residence already. It has to meet and built prior to a certain year, et cetera, and then you can apply for special use. So that doesn't apply in this case either, because you wouldn't be able to go ahead and do that. But if you look, can you zoom in on the A corridor? I think, yeah. So if you look, I guess what you have is further down Highway A, if you look south of there, we keep the residential type of low-density residential, if you want to call it that, low density as far as that goes. And if you look down Highway A further south, all of those, most of those are homes on that side of the roadway that are south of the cemetery. So it is a hard call here. I understand your point, John, because of the fact if I looked at it and said, I wouldn't want to build a house between a restaurant and a factory. But, you know, and I think we have to be cautious that we know what corridor are you on. I don't think any of us would be jumping up and down for joy if someone bought an out parcel in J.C. Penney's parking lot and decided that they wanted to build a house there either, right? I mean, I don't think we'd be trying to say, oh, that's a good idea. So, but I don't know, this is very close to like a lot of residential that you have. That's why it's kind of a toss-up, but yeah, I mean, you can clearly see it shows that it should probably be commercial out there on A, at least on this portion of the property where they're wanting to build. But it's right next to everything else as well, so. Don't know if I'd give you a clear. Just trying to at least paint the picture around it so you know.
Thank you, I think.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this? Any other comments by board members?
Well, I've had a lot to do over the years with comprehensive plan, and that really is our go-to. But at the same time, I don't think I'd want to be, I mean, it's his property. I mean, I don't, and there are houses, I've known several people who have lived on Highway A on what we would consider commercial that have lived there a long time and that's still a residence. And so I'm afraid I would tend to think they could build a house there. And as was stated, I think, that, you know, they could tear it down the road, sell the restaurant and sell the house and, you know, and then it could change, I don't know. But I lean towards letting them build the house.
Any other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'd motion that we accept it.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we record the vote?
Rocco Gonzalez,
Yep.
Mark Kleesner,
For it.
Tom Hopmeyer,
For it.
Larry Hagedorn,
Same, for it.
John Borgman,
No?
Chuck Watson, Chad Briggs,
Yes.
Kellen Witt. Yes. Mike Wood.
Yes.
6-2.
Yep, so it's passed. Thank you. It'll be at the council meeting next week, or,
Yes.
okay. Moving on, Code Amendment, Section 400.165, real estate offices.
Okay, so we talked about this at our last meeting about changing the code for temporary real estate offices. We are coming back with some, did some research, looked at different towns and cities in this area, and added and removed a few things. One of the first things I removed was the surety bond. Nowhere could I find a town that had a surety bond. We haven't been enforcing it. Having something in the code that we're not gonna stick to doesn't make any sense. So that's one of the items that I put up there for removal. And then the 4 off-street parking, again, I'm not removing off-street parking, just the 4, replacing it with 2 off-street parking. Typically, when you have a, like you see this home here, display home, it's gonna be a home, and they're gonna have 2 off-street parking in front of their garage. So why would we expect them to have 4 and then, remove the 2 when they sell the home, or just have an obscene amount of off-street parking? So that was why I changed that. So those were 2 items that I looked at and researched on changing. And then some items, addition items, or just some tweaking. The setback, so in the current code, the setbacks are the same whether it's a trailer or whether it's a display home. So I tweaked it where the setback requirements and the connection to water and sewer were only if it was a display home that was on property essentially because it's gonna stay there, it's gonna be sold, and it needs to meet the setbacks, and it needs to be connected to water and sewer. But a trailer is temporary in the fact that they're just using it until they build their display home. So having it, meet all those requirements is kind of silly, especially if there's not any sewer or water to connect to begin with, or even any roads for that matter. So then the last line there, 3K, being able to use a real estate office before installation of streets or other improvements. John did request that we put in there that the office trailer is within 50 feet of a hard surface. That way our emergency personnel can get to that trailer if anything happens. So those are the additions or the tweaks, as well as the verbiage in the description of the temporary real estate offices themselves. It should be located within a trailer or display home in the development that it's located. So it should not be, for multiple developments and, you're just continuously selling out of the same sales office. So that was, the verbiage was changed there as well. Now, Tim is here and he has some comments that should be in your packet. And we can discuss that and kind of hopefully come to a compromise so we can, take this to council.
Introduce yourself.
Tim Miller from Bridgewater Communities. Actually, Sarah and I were talking before the meeting, so if we just stay on our first two sheets. Thereafter reading 2, I think 2 as it stands, and eliminate A, B, and C would be fine.
Yes, so section A2, contractor's office, I kind of skimmed over that, but yes, there's a section before the sales office that's different, it's contractor's office, just for storage of materials, not for living, not for display home. So we were discussing the parameters on, where that should be located and how long that should be allowed on site. I added some code from Town and Country, and Tim has some suggestions for changing, I think the setbacks we discussed.
Actually, if we eliminate A, B, and C and just go with the original 2 as it's written.
Just keep it at 2.
Yeah, I think
So
that's,
again, Tim would like to just keep it the way it was originally written, without any setback requirements and restrictions on time.
and then 3C, you have to get rid of the display at 90%, but the last 10% are the hardest homes to sell, and you need a sales office there to actually sell out and finish up the community. So I'd like to see that to be 100%, up to 100%. Builder could move out earlier if he wanted to. If you had a 50 home site community, 90%'s five home sites. And
Sarah, can we go through and discuss these item by item? I think that's gonna be a better way to do this, because I'm not 100% sold on getting rid of the 30-day removal time. Because suppose somebody goes defunct or whatever in the process of this happening, and now we've got a temporary building sitting there, a trailer or whatever it is.
Right.
It sits there for 6 months and starts falling down, and that's not what we want.
So if we don't make any changes to the code, that the lines that were stricken will go away, and it will still be in there.
Still be that original first paragraph.
Correct.
Okay, then I'm fine with that. I just wanted to.
So you're saying the lines that you have on here are gonna stay?
The lines will be removed.
Okay,
And the
okay.
highlighted won't be there.
Okay.
That was what I was adding.
That's what I wasn't sure
I
about.
wasn't sure about,
Yeah.
that's why I
Thank you.
wanted to get
Yeah.
that clear.
A, B, and C would be eliminated.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
2A, 2B, 2C.
just wanted a
No,
clarification.
not a problem. So then we'll go down to, that's just the contractor's office. We'll go down to the real estate offices. So again, I highlighted may be located within a trailer or display home. That's what we're adding in that verbiage there. And then it is only permitted to be located and used by the owner or developer on the property being sold or leased that has a minimum of 10 individual lots. So just to clear up the language so it makes sense that your display home that you're selling out of is only for that property and not for other properties. I think Tim has a different feeling about it, but that is the common thread I saw multiple times in all the other codes. That was a very, if they only had one thing relating to this, it was that verbiage. And then eliminating the surety bond was A. No change to B, no change to C. D is just redundant because it's already in the verbiage in the description, so that's why that's being taken out.
C, I'd like to see it 100%.
And Tim would like to see that change, that 90% to 100%.
I would think that's doable. I don't see a reason for that.
Let's change it to 100.
I mean, he's gotta move within 60 days, so.
Yeah. If y'all agree, we can change that to 100.
I'm fine with that.
Sense, yeah.
Do we need a vote on that, Mr. Chairman, or
I
do it as
think
a
we'll
whole
get this
package?
rewritten and come back
Come
again
back,
with the
okay.
way it should be.
And then on 3I, on the weekends, like to be open till 5. We're normally open 11 to 5. Right now it states 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday.
So is 5 o'clock Saturday and Sunday okay? Or is there a reason for 4?
I think 5 is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we sure we don't wanna make it a little bit longer, or?
Longer's
Saturday
fine
and
with me.
Sunday?
I'm just,
That's a long day. I don't know,
if he doesn't open till 11 though, is what he's saying.
11 to 5.
Could leave it 8 to 8, 7 days a week, and builders can decide
That's
hours
kinda-
based on customers.
Right.
Depending if, if it's a first-time home buyer, if they work till 5 o'clock, they might have to come in after 5 o'clock to actually.
I know a lot of
work.
people that work on Saturdays, and if you're working in the city on a Saturday, you're not gonna get here before 4 o'clock. That's the only reason I'm saying that.
Makes sense. Might as well. Makes it easier, more intuitive
8 to 8.
every day.
7 days.
Mhm.
And then I added J and K. J just says that we're requiring that the display home is returned to a habitable condition, that all the changes that were made are reverted back to a regular single-family home. And then K is basically saying if we're allowing a trailer to be placed before streets and other improvements are already set in place, that it would be by approval of fire chief, but John had sent an email and had asked that we say that it's within 50 feet of a hard surface roadway. Just to clarify, why get the fire chief involved when that's what he's gonna want anyways, right?
Put it in writing.
Yeah,
It's not subjective that way.
right.
Makes sense.
And the reason I'll explain the 50-foot timeline, our pre-connected hose lines are 200 foot long on a truck. So that is going to be more than enough that we'll be able to get to and around all sides of whatever size building they're going to put there that's going to be a temporary building. Even if it's a house, what still would be what we would use on a day-to-day basis.
That's all I had. I appreciate the consideration.
Thank you.
Any other comments from anybody in the audience or on the board? You can speak. We'll let you.
Sarah and I talked about this afternoon, and do you use a trailer or do you use a house for yours? Trailer first. Okay. The reason why this came up was years ago, we didn't have this. And then I think we had 2 developments that I think utilized it. One was, I remember, in Lake Washington, Barclays used one of the duplexes out there for an office for quite some time. That never seemed to pose any problems. But the one that really brought it to the attention was Stonecrest in the first phase of VIT, because the developer parked a construction trailer out there off of South Point Road, and it got a lot of pushback from the people that were looking to buy lots, or those, especially those that had already bought lots out there. So that's the reason why I asked about the trailer. We were kicking around the idea today is like, do you really need the trailer? Would it just be better if you had a display home that already looks like the homes around it? It's less likely to look like, to have all of these problems. The reason why you had $1,000, I think, in there years ago was to go ahead and make sure that the construction trailer could be hauled off. If you had to have it hauled off for some reason that they just left it and you couldn't get anybody to comply with it, you could go ahead and figure out a way to get it out, get rid of it. So, and I think you've addressed the other stuff. That's the only question is now, if you're talking about this, is trailers really the way to go? I understand if that's part of what they use at the beginning, maybe there's a way that you could go ahead and
So
get
many
rid of
days.
that quicker and then use the display homes as soon as you get those built up. I mean, because that's, I think, you'll have a lot more people concerned with it if you've got, and that looks probably a lot more acceptable and looks a lot better than what caused it was a construction trailer and they were trying to sell expensive homes at the time, and there was a lot of pushback that we had at that time. So that's the reason why I bring it up. Yeah. I understand.
So, what if we put a time limit on it?
On the trailers?
Trailer.
I think there is already a time limit. They got a 1 year from preliminary plat to get that, or no, final plat, I should say.
So then they could transfer
That
over
removed
into a
it.
display home. And,
Yeah, they have a year.
like I said, then you're rid of it and you don't have to worry about it.
In a normal,
And this looks, like I said, nothing against this. This looks respectable. It's I've seen the reason why we created these codes.
in a normal situation, I would bet they would not have a construction trailer to sell homes,
I
but
think so too.
Well, this all
Sometimes-
gets into the definition of what a trailer is.
Exactly.
You know, we don't define that anywhere. So therein lies the interpretation of what that trailer is.
You don't have anything defined that says that you can't turn what I'm looking at in a picture of into a house either. As long as it meets building codes and it meets that, it can look like, I mean, that's not what we probably want to see,
You
but
could
I'm
put
just
in-
saying.
You
that's-
could bring in a portable building
Yeah,
and set it there, which there's a lot of those
correct.
out there now that there weren't years ago too.
So, I don't know, I just want to caution you, if you're talking about it now, those are things to think about. And I could see that causing more problems for us than anything else.
So should we maybe look for a different term instead of trailer and say portable building?
You might be able to define that better.
That's what I'm thinking. You have to get it there, right. But it's not the construction trailer like we're talking about. Just a thought.
Sarah, take a look at 3B. You can leave that trailer there for 1 year from the date of final plat approval, or when 90 days now we're gonna change it to 100% of the lots have been sold, or 60 days after voluntary suspension. It's one or the other, So it's
Yeah,
not-
whichever.
occurs first.
Yeah, it's not necessarily automatically within 1 year.
Right, but it wouldn't be longer than a year.
Okay,
I mean, if they sell 100% within less than a year, then
then it's
that
gonna
would be
go on.
first.
Okay, yeah, I get that, but
Yeah,
it could be there a full year before somebody's gotta pull it out.
right.
what do you think? Is that too long, or? Mm-hmm. Or we can define the trailer we want.
Well, the more I'm thinking about that, I think the term with portable building might be a better fit to what is out there in the market and available today.
I guess what I was kind of thinking is, are you trying to move them out of the trailer and into a display home sooner rather than later? So if you get a display home that's up within 6 months, they could still have that trailer there another 6 months and not move into the display home. Or are you trying to get them out of the trailer and get them into a display home? So
You do, but, well,
I wouldn't say anything.
I mean, do you just want to add that verbiage then in here as like another or, like if the display home is completed, then they can do they have to remove the trailer?
Yeah, like maybe within 30 days of
Yeah.
issuance of, so you gotta have an occupancy permit for a display home. Or do you?
No.
No, you don't, for a display home?
You're not actually occupying it.
Well, you use that for a sales office. If you would a commercial occupancy permit.
You can't get a final inspection because the
Yeah.
sales office is in the garage. Doesn't necessarily meet all the fire requirements.
Still has to hook up to water and sewer though, correct?
Yeah.
But the house, as it's being built, would have to meet all the code requirements and the inspections.
Yes.
So,
You think they'd want to inspect the water and sewer hookup as well?
The only thing they can't do is get the final occupancy permit.
Right.
He said the office is in the garage, so it doesn't actually meet code. Right.
Could that be to someone's discretion to make that ruling?
I
Each
think
time.
really needs to be more objective so that there isn't discretion.
Okay.
There's verbiage in there that needs to be returned back to its original state, which is the garage.
Yeah.
I think I still would like in number 3, where Sarah, where you added maybe located within a trailer or display home, I think I'd really like to take trailer out of that and put portable building.
Okay,
I think that defines that better and maybe would
Yeah.
eliminate some future issues.
yeah, so it's
My
not
suggestion.
confused with the construction trailer, which
Mm-hmm.
happened today in conversation, so I think that's a good idea.
And then down in B, where it says trailer, also, that would then mean, would be
Yeah,
a.
I would change that at
Any
all.
place in that section 3 where you see that.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion.
And do we just want to remove 3B from the development upon expiration of 1 year from the date of the final plat and just take that out? Because are we worried about the year?
I think they gotta be temporary, it's the decision of us is how long is temporary.
Right.
Because we know it's not gonna go longer than a year, that's the max they could go. They could get out earlier if the
Okay.
other two either of the other two qualifications were met. So the question becomes, what's fair to the developer to
Right.
be temporary?
any other? Comments, questions? And I think if you get it written up and you can go through the verbiage and clean it up with Mark, make sure it's defined
Yeah.
as we would like it, then we'll come back with it and have it approved or not approved.
Sounds like a plan.
Right. Thanks. Appreciate all the work on that.
Thank you.
Moving on, item number 6, discussion item, update on Life's River special use permit.
So, over a year ago, you all gave Life's River the privilege to open up shop off of Highway A, and they had a little bit of a slow start, so they did not actually open their doors until it was March, they took in their first family. And so I met with them because part of their conditions is to meet semi-annually and discuss, what's going good and what's not and what they need help with, or, if they're meeting our expectations. So some of the conditions that we required of them was to not go over a maximum occupancy of 25 people. Currently, they have 5 families and 17 people in the Lifes River program. They are staffed 24/7, so they have day staff and night staff that stay there on site. There are no weapons or illegal substances on site. Background checks are done thoroughly. They do adhere to the quiet hours between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning, and they have a vehicle that provides transportation of the residents to doctor's appointments or job interviews and whatever their needs are, although a lot of them come with their own vehicle, so they have room for their own vehicle. They are working on building, you can see in the picture over there, garden beds, so they're bringing those on board. They have Wednesdays, they do classes, the topic changes, but it could be budgeting or it could be gardening, which is my favorite topic. So, and that tower you see in there, I had got a grant and was able to purchase 2 of those so they could start growing indoors while they're getting, their garden beds going.
You can see it in the window.
Yeah.
They have lights.
Yeah, they're pretty bright. I told them that it couldn't be near bedrooms or anything because those things are like runway bright. But they do good, and they grow lettuce and, if you need pollination, doesn't work so well, it's gotta be outside, but a lot of lettuce and other like microgreens and things like that, so it's really good. They get involved with that. So everything seems to be going pretty well, pretty happy and ecstatic about the progress. They do have, some concerns if they're meeting the conditions, and they do want to know if they can have a fundraiser on site, maybe like a fall festival or a craft fair or something like that. So they brought that up because they had looked through the special use permit. They didn't really see where they couldn't or where they could. So that was one of their concerns that they brought to my attention. So any thoughts on them having an event on site during the day?
I think it would be size and parking,
Yeah,
which kind of goes hand in hand. You can't
Yeah.
park on A, obviously.
no. But when we had the open house, there was a lot of people there, and they were all parked on Chamber, and it seemed like it really worked with people parking on the street. No one got run over.
And there's a lot of parking lots around there that they
Yeah.
might be able to ask somebody if they can use that space
Share
just for
space.
a day. I would also think the number that they're looking at, if it's just one, a couple a year, or,
Yeah, well, I told them anything that they planned on doing, they would run by us, and I would make sure y'all have that information, and we would let them know if we felt like that was excessive or not.
Well, I know they're being watched by the neighborhoods,
Yeah,
and since they are being watched, just so you know, we've been there twice in the last week for false alarms, so they got smoke detector and fire alarm system problem,
okay,
but
yeah,
they're working on it.
that's good to know. Derek is here with Lifes River, and he can talk to, address any questions you might have.
Do you know if there's been any public safety calls, anything other than
Yeah, just-
fires? There been ambulances, there been police calls
I have
out there
not
that we're aware
heard.
of? I think that was one of the concerns.
Right.
People thought that they were gonna bring a clientele that would be more used to, take up resources from our police. I don't
Right.
think that's probably the case now, but I was just wondering if we knew of any.
If I can be honest with you, yes, sir, we have.
Okay.
We had a case came up, and I can't go into too much detail, where our mandatory reporting came into question, and it was my call to notify 911, being that I was unsure. The officer notified me based on his findings that he didn't think that it was at that point in time. But yes, sir, they have been out. When it comes to funding or fundraising operations, I do understand the hesitation from the city of Washington. Therefore, prior to doing anything, I would be in close contact with Sarah to make sure that we were well within operating capacity and nothing was going to be in violation. And it was basically just making sure, testing the water, seeing what we could and could not do, and seeing the seasonability of it. But again, prior to doing anything, when we have something a little bit more hard as stone, we will reach out and make sure that we're good to go. Also, I do understand the trepidation of the community for Life's River. Please, if anyone here has any questions, comments, concerns, or would like to see it, please feel free to contact me or to come on site.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for fundraisers and everything, ultimately it would do nothing but, I think, improve the relationship, to your point, of like the neighborhood, seeing what's actually done there, as well as just, I think, start to build relationships with the residents as well. I think it can only do good, but like we were talking about, ensuring that from like safety precautions and all that, just like you would any other, you know, if Sugar Fire was having an event downtown, what would they have to do?
Derek, would you mind introducing yourself?
I apologize. My name is Derek Abshan. I am the executive director at Life's River.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Looks good.
Mhm.
Looks like it's achieving what you hoped for.
It is a sheer delight. Sarah, thank you. The water gardens are phenomenal, and the cucumbers did come in fact. And it has been a huge source of pride, and for the residents to see it come in and to grow, and for you guys who might not know, with the garden, any surplus that we have is going back into the community. So, thank you again. It's been amazing.
Have you, I know when we talked about this, and it seems like a long time ago, but there was a thought that there could be relationships start to be built, like with Mercy or with any of the other help agencies, for a lack of a better term. Is that
Absolutely.
starting to take place, or is it taking place, or is there an outreach to try to do that kind of?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have personally gone to introductions for the local municipalities, police, resource centers, highway patrol, to let them know that we are out there, that we are a resource, somebody that if somebody needs help and they might not necessarily qualify for our program, that we will touch the necessary bases, reach out and make sure that we can help them out any way we possibly can as a community. Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments? Sounds good.
Thank you for
Great,
your time.
thanks. Anything else for discussion? If not, entertain one last motion.
Make a motion.
What was this for?
Second.
What's, oh, wait, John has something here.
No, this was laying on our spots tonight.
What is this for? Anybody know?
That was the first one?
That was taken off. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you got those. Sorry, Gina. Sorry, that's nothing.
There you go. There's a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? So moved.
I'll send that out to you once I get that.
She was laying them out here when I
Yeah.
walked in.
Sorry,
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
In fact, I didn't even see her until we got started. I guess I'll see.
Have a good one.
Sarah, do you want these back?
Sure.
Probably gonna need them, I'm
I'll
guessing.
recycle.
I do respect.
Oh, God. We had bases loaded, we get one run.
You'll be able to see. I'll be all right. You'll be all right.
They are, no. You know, you're like, well, if you're gonna kick it in.